Welcome to Two Bottles Deep. We're a podcast where we venture into the world armed with humor, sarcasm, and a willingness to admit when we're wrong. Well, most of the time.
And our goal is to have open and honest conversations while we discuss topics that affect us as humans and as gay men.
And thank you so much for listening. And now it's time to get Two Bottles Deep.
Hey, Phil.
Hello, Wes.
I saw you nodding out the peripheral.
That was me giving you a visual cue that we started.
We are live on YouTube.
We are. How are you, babe?
I am great. You have to tell me about your appearance the other night. Your sold out residency show.
So I did my first big stage show at Third Coast Comedy. It's a series a friend of mine, Nicole, started called Cheaper Than Therapy, which is features several comics once a month. And I got to do a little over 10 minutes of comedy, which I know if you're listening, you're like 10 minutes. Wow. But I'm telling you guys, it took me like 4 months to write. So it was so fun. It was so fun. I loved it. I worked on my stage fright. I know I've talked about that before. I was in the back shaking my hands and doing all this stuff. And I don't like to brag, but I killed it.
You killed it. Did you feel different this time than your other times on stage or the open mic nights?
Yes, definitely better than open mic. Open mics, I'm always like throwing up in my mouth and taking a dump in my pants. I'm just like, it's just a different vibe in an open mic because it's just like 20 comics all trying to do 3 minutes and no one's listening. So it's not really, to me, it's not very helpful. But I did feel different in the sense that I actually remember everything that happened on stage. Whereas before I'd get off and be like, what'd I do? Do you want to get a video?
Right.
And I was like very intentional about my moves. And I tried to be more, telling stories. And because you had mentioned one of the shows, the Cheaper Than Therapy a while back, that I was nervous and I was. And I watched back and it's me being just very still, which is not my normal.
No, not at all.
So I was like, let's see if I can do something. So it was really fun.
And earlier this week, we saw the great Mateo Lane.
Well, you did.
The Ryman.
I didn't see him.
I saw the top of his head.
Yeah, Wes and I sat at the Ryman in the Golden Circle.
I mean,
which
third row.
Not sure what that meant.
Crazy.
Yeah, but there was a speaker right above us that for 90% of the show, I literally could not see Mateo. It was like listening to a podcast.
Well, it was funny because we were right next to each other, but as the show was going on, I was like, I wonder if Philip can't see, but I thought where you were sitting to my left, you cleared the speaker.
I was in the speaker. And I counted so many things on the speaker. I was like, there's 6 different holes across the top, 2 cords on the left.
Dude, what?
But he
what
did
a great
he was great. Yeah. I thought it was an interesting thing too, that he wasn't like zinger after joke. It was just a series of stories that kind of flowed well. And I like that style.
When we were sitting there together, I'm like, this is your style.
Yeah.
This is because you're such a great storyteller. And he was kind of talking about life. And you brought that up when we left the show. You're like, he was just telling us about where he's been.
Yeah.
And he made it relevant. And he threw in punchlines and he threw in good zingers.
Yeah,
and
he's good with the zingers. I think
his sass was really good and really funny. And
definitely sassy.
He's sassy.
Mr. Sassy Pants.
I found him on, I think, just like Matt Rife and who's the local guy? God, Mercedes and I went to see him. I can't remember.
Philip Hedrick.
All those that are getting really big on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. Nate Bargatze.
Oh, yeah.
Blew up. Leanne Morgan, a Tennessee gal, blowing up, right? And because we see them on TikTok, and I think the pandemic did them well coming out of the pandemic anyway.
What did you do, babe? Since you couldn't come to my show, you must have had plans.
I did. I had tickets to Adam Mack.
Oh, Disco Cowboy,
who was a guest of ours 2 seasons ago.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We're such pros. I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's hard to keep
up. I wonder if Oprah remembers all of her guests.
I don't think she remembers much at this point.
But yeah, we went to the 8th room. And I saw my friend Jen, who I hadn't seen in like a year. I love her, Allie and Bailey. And of course, Stacia was there. We had a great time. And Adam Mack, if you've not listened to that episode, go back and listen. He's we started that recording at 8 a.m. on a Saturday, and he came in hot, and he has great energy, a great story about growing up into the church, and his parents weren't accepting, and then his mom was at the show last night. He actually wrote a song about how his mom struggled with it. And I was talking to his fiance Lee before the show, and he's like, you will have goosebumps at this new song. And that entire time, that whole room just went quiet. Sold out show. And it was just, I have chills right now. So great set. Brooke Eden was there. Who's a gay country artist who's married to a woman. Is she was awesome. She got up, they did a duet together. So it was good. If I couldn't be at your show, I would want to be
Absolutely.
here. That's the only
love
only
some Adam
reason.
Mack.
Love some Adam Mack. But yeah, he y'all gotta look him up. He was great. And it's Nashville. So it was a great people watching. Everybody there was to have a good time. There was gay people, straight people, cowboy hats. I mean, you name it all.
I love it.
Rainbow skirts. I mean, it was just
is that what you had
room
on?
Full of love, a cowboy hat and a rainbow skirt.
Oh, that's one of your best looks, really.
Yeah. No, I did go for a different look.
You didn't have a hat on or boots?
Yeah, I had boots and a black
so
hat.
That's not a new look.
Being facetious or whatever that word is. Facetious.
There we go.
Is that sarcasm?
No.
Okay. I was being sarcastic.
Okay.
Then what's facetious?
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Okay. Well, I didn't know.
Oh. All right.
I thought it was.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
You know the phrase body count, right? Body count is what the kids are saying.
Body yada yada.
Body count is like how many people you've had personal
somewhere.
Relationships with, and by intimate personal. So body count would be like how many people you've had sex with. That's your body count.
Okay. What did we call it? Like, what's your number?
Your number.
That's
So body count or number. So I found this. This is a TikTok thing. The top 10 countries with the highest body count. Which countries would you say have more sexual partners? And if you can guess one in the top 10, because I couldn't. I don't know what I thought. Who in your mind? What country do you think has the highest body count?
I'm going to go with the population size here. China.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people, so the odds are.
No, but remember,
they kill their babies too.
Remember, body count is one person having multiple different partners. So if
they're monogamous, it won't
be.
Yeah. I just think there's a lot of people that are having a good time in Asia.
Okay, that is wrong. They are not in the top 10.
Damn. Yeah. Not like Japan or anybody.
No.
Okay. America.
Nope. America's 11.
We are the craziest country.
No, we're not. According to this, we are way lower than.
We're number 11. Okay. Amsterdam.
Amsterdam is not.
How many countries can there be?
More than that. You've named 3.
No. Okay.
Wes is tapped out. It's like, I don't know any more countries.
No.
You're not going to get number 1. Number 1.
Like Tasmania.
Turkey.
Wow.
No idea. I didn't know they were that.
Yeah, and I thought it's like just so tiny over there.
But don't think about
thinking
about size and all that. Think about like just the way they live.
True.
Right?
Okay.
So Turkey's number 1.
Sense.
Number 2, Australia. 3 is New Zealand. 4 is Iceland. 5 is South Africa. 6 is Finland. 7 Norway. Like
wow.
8 is Italy. I thought Italy would be higher than that.
Yeah.
9 is Sweden and 10 is Switzerland. I got none of them right. Couldn't even guess.
In America's 11.
11.
Okay, great. I'm going to tell you a story about Iceland real quick.
Okay.
I've never been there, but I wanted to go. Like everybody was going there like before the pandemic.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, I want to go there. So I switched my Tinder to Iceland because you can do the location thing. Everybody was hot there. Like there was not one attractive dude.
There was not one attractive dude?
Unattractive.
I was like,
yeah,
whoa.
They were all attractive.
Oh.
So I'm like, wow, maybe that's why Iceland is up there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's time to go to Iceland.
Yeah, maybe we can check out Norway. And
I'm going to Turkey tomorrow. Literally.
Philip's taking the rest of the week off. And
I just wouldn't think about, let's go to Turkey and have sex. Like that's just not what I would think about with Turkey.
And when I think of Iceland, I just think of the baths and the northern
Yes.
stars, the bath,
The Northern Lights.
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's
Yeah.
always the picture of you, the person in like the bath with the eye. The
Blue lagoon.
Yes, honey.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so
that's
Turkey's top body
interesting.
count. There you go. All right.
Right,
The other
America.
one, you may do well with this one. Top 5 cities to retire to in the United States.
Are any in Tennessee?
No.
Okay.
Just pick. What do you think one of the top 5 places would be?
Charleston, South Carolina.
No. That's what I thought too, but nope.
Savannah, Georgia.
Nope.
Are they going to be like somewhere in Mexico, New Mexico? That
No.
we've never heard of. Okay.
Nope.
So you ever know, like, because I asked that because Tennessee had this survey that came out, and there were towns I'm like, I've never heard of that, but
Yeah.
it's like the cost of living is so cheap, and it's a one-horse town. I don't
Did you just
know.
get country?
I don't know why.
One horse town.
Where's the next city, Philip?
Number
That'll be
one,
British in a little bit.
Number 1, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, because
Lots of golf. Yeah. Number 2, Clearwater, Florida. 3 is Metairie or Metairie. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Louisiana.
Yeah, Metairie.
4 is St. Petersburg, Florida, and 5 is Fort Lauderdale, which
A lot in
explains Wilton
Florida.
Manor down there in Florida.
Oh.
That's where all the old gays go.
The gay ones. Yeah, it's like a gay city.
Yeah. So
What?
Scottsdale, when we retire, it's where we need to head.
I think Arizona, I know Texas and Tennessee are no income tax states.
Mm.
I know Florida is as well. A lot of snowbirds down there. Is Arizona?
I did not pass that class.
Might be.
Yeah.
It might
could
be a no income tax state. That's why people are flooding to really the red states in a way. We're lucky because we're in the blue bubble, and most Texas states are a blue bubble, and I'm assuming Florida as well. But you get those great tax benefits.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. So Scottsdale is where we're headed in a few years.
Said that I would always go there on a bachelor party. Like if I ever got married, I would want to go to a resort.
Just
it's so pretty for pictures and just relax. Because I don't want a wild bachelor party.
I'm going to Turkey.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild bachelor. You're like, honey, don't worry about it.
Yeah, give me 1 week.
Your fiance doesn't have to know about that survey.
That's right.
So he doesn't.
Just be like, I'm going there for the, for the culture.
I like how we're talking about our weddings, but we're not even dating anyone.
Yeah, well, you gotta
put it out there in the universe.
Put it out. All right. So this week, Wes and I were wanting to talk about a story that has been going on since March. I think March 8th is when it happened. And it has been kind of steady in the news. You guys know about it. It's the story of Riley Strain.
Right now, a Missouri family wants answers after their son disappeared in Nashville over the weekend. This is 22-year-old Mizzou senior Riley Strain, who spent the weekend in Tennessee for a fraternity conference. Friends say they saw him at a busy bar Friday night, and they haven't heard from him since. His parents live in Springfield. They drove to Nashville over the weekend to help with the search. Metro Nashville police are also helping with that search.
So I'm sure everybody's heard this story. It was national news, probably international news. But I think it's important to there's so much information out there. Let's go over the timeline first of what happened.
Okay.
Before we give, I just assumed, they talked about him going to the bar. I was like, did they go to that bar first? And that was the only bar. But it came out based on his credit card statements that he had gone to Miranda Lambert's, Garth Brooks, Kid Rock's, and then to Luke Bryan's. And for those of you who've not been to Nashville or don't remember, those are all within a block or 2 blocks of each other, easily walkable.
And the last two, he went from Garth's over to Kid Rock's and then to Luke's.
Right,
Kid Rock's and Luke's are right across the street.
And why is Luke's called Luke's 32?
He has a song about a bridge.
Okay.
Or something. So
I thought
32 Bridge.
I kept seeing 32 Bridge. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, that's his song.
All right. So they'd gone to this. So they're liquored up at this point, I would assume, right? It's a fraternity. It's a group.
It's Friday.
They're there to celebrate. It's early because they, by the time he was kicked out, it was only 9:30. So, they had to have started earlier than that. And then, so that evening at 9:35, Riley was kicked out of Luke's bar. And the security team, their statement said, "We made a decision based on our conduct standards to escort him from the venue through our Broadway exit at the front of the building, and that he was only served one alcoholic drink and 2 waters." So again, no idea how many drinks he'd had beforehand. But that's at 9:35. Supposedly, a friend followed him downstairs, and there was
Shown on video.
yeah, and then his father, or maybe his stepfather, Riley's father or stepfather, mentioned that a friend attempted to leave with him, but security wouldn't let that happen. But I
Yeah.
can't imagine security would
Because-
refuse to let somebody leave with someone else.
Right.
So I can't. I don't. I think that's probably
Yeah,
not
we'll
true.
talk about that in
Yeah.
a bit.
So 9:35 is when he's kicked out. At 9:46, so 11 minutes later, surveillance video from the downtown smoke and vape shop on Church Street caught Riley stumbling and falling into a parking lot at 3rd Avenue and
Yep.
Church Street. So that's about
It's near Printer's Alley.
about 2 blocks heading north. So not a long walk, but I can imagine if he's highly intoxicated, he's all over the place. But also remember, there's so many people down there. Like there's a lot of drunk people. It's just like, look at him, he's drunk.
Yeah.
No one. So that's 9:46. A minute later, surveillance video caught him crossing that street, that 1st Avenue street, towards Gay Street. A few minutes later, at 9:52, body cam footage shows him talking to a police officer, a brief exchange. And then 3 minutes later, at 9:55, was the last known footage of Riley showing him approaching and walking under the James Robertson Parkway Bridge there on Gay Street. And then 15, 20 minutes later, his phone was pinged near James Robertson Parkway and Gay Street. So, and that was it. That was the last.
It's chilling when the body cam footage from the police officer was released. He was walking. He's 6'5", 6'6". So he was just striding right along, and the officer said, "How are you?" And Riley said, "Good, how are you?" and kept walking. So the officer obviously didn't know any of this had happened before, that he had been kicked out. He had fallen, like you said. I mean, on a Friday night, there's 25,000 people downtown without an event. Those are just at the bars and on the streets. So there was a lot of people walking with him because that's a popular area to park. It is a darker area. It goes under a bridge. It goes by the prison.
It looks shady.
It
I mean,
really
like,
does.
even during the day, but I can imagine at night. I mean, but if you're intoxicated and it's a street and you're walking, just keep going. I've not been on Gay Street under the bridge. I've gone over the bridge. Have you walked that?
Yeah, I've been under it because they used to have Pride in that park that's up a block.
That's right.
So we had to park down there because we were vendors that year, and we had to park under that. And it was during the day. I didn't know that it dropped. I mean, it drops off into the river, and I mean that's a 30-foot drop.
Yeah,
at 25, 30-foot drop. I didn't know there was a homeless camp down at the bottom over that side. So it's the last area that was pinged, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But they actually just got a hold of the last homeless people that they think knows what happened to him. But anyway, that's later in the story. But as this develops, that's kind of the timeline. Everything happened within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
When you piece this all together, going back to the bar, we've all been downtown. We've all been drunk downtown. I know there have been reports that people do roofie people here to take their phones and their wallets.
And it was a big thing. I was trying to look up to see how far back that went. For the last 3 or 4 years, there's a significant number of news stories of people getting roofied on Broadway. Mostly all the ones that I found were female, but doesn't mean a male can't get roofied.
Yeah, and I saw a report that in America, not just here in Nashville, on Broadway, that 685,000 males get roofied every year. It's over 9 million for females. So it is 6% of the roofies are males.
Yeah,
it is all. But I think when these criminals are down there looking for phones, I mean, I got roofied in Midtown. Like I had one drink and don't remember getting home. And that was a wild night because the next day I'm just like, there was nothing. And then my buddy was in town from Kentucky, and 2 of his friends had the same thing happen. And that was at 3 p.m. So this happens in Nashville, and maybe they were just targeting certain drinks and didn't know it was his. I don't think that was a target. I don't want to think that a fraternity brother would do that. They're down here for a formal event, which is a big dance party. and it was Delta Chi, and I think there was different Delta Chi chapters. So of course his brothers from Mizzou were here. The interesting part is when this all happened, they didn't report him missing till the next morning. But think about it. We've been downtown,
Yeah.
and if somebody goes home with somebody, where it's like, hey, I'm getting out of here. I guess we're not tourists, but I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe they went home with some girl.
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider someone missing. And I think his parents were really calm about that in the beginning,
Yeah.
and she said, we're not mad at the brothers. They were here to have a good time. This happened. He should have went left out of the bar. He went right. And then he totally missed the hotel by many, many blocks.
Yeah. I mean, starting at when he got kicked out, there was a whole thing about why did they let him go if he was that drunk and all that. I don't put any blame on the bar, just in the sense that the amount of people they deal with that are highly intoxicated has got to be it's just another one. Like, how do you know the difference between just stupid drunk or roofied? Maybe you do, but like, I think they're just getting him out of the bar.
Yeah.
That's their responsibility at that point is done. They're protecting the inside of the bar, the patrons inside the bar. So my issue is, why let a friend leave? And I think it's different if you and I go out in Nashville and you say I'm going home, good. But if you and I are in another city and you're like, I'm going back to the hotel, I might have some follow-up questions.
Absolutely.
If you're extremely intoxicated, I think I would, say, let's Uber, let's get you to the hotel and then I'll go back out. Or let's make sure you get home, or maybe even text me when you get there. And if you haven't texted in a while, I'd leave and go find you.
Right.
They didn't. They stayed out.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed out. And then what was that? How long did it take for them to report him missing?
It was the next morning. So it was like 9 a.m. So they had
they stayed out all night.
They went back to the hotel.
He's not there.
They were they tried to call him. I think they kind of walked around and looked for him, but they went home. There was a report. They reported him missing at like 1:30.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know where that stands, but they did the next morning. And that's when his parents jumped in the car and were here, because it's a 6-7 hour drive from Missouri to here to Nashville.
Yeah, I wouldn't have called. Like, if you disappeared, I'm not calling your mother. I
Right.
stand behind that piece that they did. The worst thing you can do is to shed a extreme amount of alarm on a mother. You know how mom can be. Like, she's very protective. I have to
Yeah.
check in with her all the time if I don't call. So if you called her and you're like, I haven't seen Philip, we're done. Like, it's National
Right.
Guard, So I understand that reasoning for maybe not calling the mom, but I don't understand being the friend. Like, he's not answering multiple times. He was drunk. He got thrown out for being drunk. And yet you're in a city you don't know. What are you doing?
I had a conversation with a couple of my aunts about this, and a lot of people had messaged, oh my God, did you see this Facebook story? So they'd send it in Messenger. Many of the conversations went like this. Well, why didn't the bar call a cab? Why didn't they call an Uber? Why didn't they sit him down? To your point earlier, and my aunts have never been to Nashville. So, when you have 30,000 people on 5 blocks and everybody's, drunk. Now, I will say they do have the drunk tank down there. So somebody is passed out, falling over a bar stool and incoherent, ambulance is right there. So the police do a great job at that. They'll arrest you for public intoxication. You spend the night in jail. They let you go. You catch your plane Sunday morning.
Right.
It's not a big deal. They do a great job of that. He was up walking. Yeah, he did trip in that one parking lot photo, but he was up walking when he was walking out the bar. And, did that brother say, Riley, hold on, stay outside, I'm going to go get the others?
That's true.
Because when you're here with your fraternity, you're here with 120 guys or 60 guys, whatever the amount is. It's a large group. So you can't. We've been out with 8 people and we get lost downtown in the crowds. One turn and you're lost between all those people. So did he go up to close out, and Riley's like, I'm just going to go to the hotel, and got lost?
Yeah.
Right. So whatever happened with that. And again, if they reported him missing, all this happened within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And when his phone stopped pinging right by that bridge, and it's a not well lit area, now there's a homeless encampment. They found him, 8 days later with no wallet, no shoes, no belt, but his shirt was on.
He had his shoes. He had his boots off, his pants off.
Yeah. He just had his shirt on. The last shirt he was pictured in.
Yeah. So he had his shirt on. And now I have tried to take boots off before slightly intoxicated. I needed a team of 2 people. You don't just kick your boots off.
No.
I mean, it literally it requires coordination, strength, like
They were saying the current of the river, but I don't believe everything's going to go missing. Well, they found his debit card and his ID on the shore
Yep.
near where he went missing. So something crazy happened, but he also did text his mom because him and his mom were close. He had FaceTimed her at one of the bars saying, "Hey, we're having so much fun." And then he had texted her about an hour or so before he went missing, saying, "This this rum and Coke tastes like barbecue." And they kind of joked back and forth. And she's like, "Well, that may be a good thing." And then she ultimately said, "Don't drink it." Whether that was if he was roofied, that's almost going from a theory, um, they don't have evidence of it yet because the toxicology, the second report hasn't come back.
But roofies, that's the interesting thing about roofies. They don't smell or taste. So that's how they get hidden. So that's an interesting, like the barbecue thing. It could have been another drug. I don't know, or something. But
Or
I mean, if I'm 22 years old and you make me a bad drink, I'm drinking it.
Yeah.
I'm going to complain about it and I'll talk about it. I'll be like, we went to Luke's bar and it was the worst drink I've ever had. But I drank it.
The worst $23 5-ounce cocktail you've ever had.
Drink it.
I mean,
I like barbecue. Like, but yeah. So they find him. It was 2 weeks later. He disappeared on March 8th, and they found him in the Cumberland River on March 22nd. Like you said, no shoes.
8 miles from downtown.
8 miles.
Floating. And no one now when the river leaves downtown, it's industrial. There's no homes on that river.
No.
So I mean, nobody's gonna see him. But did you hear the guy that called in that found him? He worked on that. Where they found him is where they like park barges and they do stuff on the river. And he went down to that area and he called. He's like, "Hey, this is so and so." And the 911 dispatch just said, "Okay, what's your problem?" He's like, "I think this is Riley in the river." And it's a chilling call because this guy is like, "I think I just discovered this kid," and he was right by their dock boat ramp area. And it was like you said, 2 weeks later. So you've been in it. You've been in the water. You've been, Lord knows what's eating at you in this river. There's a strong current. Boats are going by and all that. Was he underwater? Why did no one see him for 2 weeks? But the first autopsy said there's no evidence of foul play, given that's a 30-foot cliff that he would have fallen down into the river.
And no water in his lungs.
That's the big one.
So
let's pull Nancy Grace on this one.
You ain't drowning.
Yeah, I got questions, y'all.
Yeah.
That's what she
would
say.
And they did 2 autopsies. I think the family paid for a second one to make sure. And they both came back, no foul play and no water in the lungs. So he was dead before he got in the water. So how do you die and then roll 30 feet? And in the roll, you lose your pants, your boots.
And you're rolling straight down. So there's no way that he would have that would have happened by itself.
No.
So while his parents were here, they got here that afternoon. They went directly to the police. They did not leave Nashville until Riley was found. So they were thankful for the community, the police. There was a team out of Louisiana that came up and was doing the searching. They're a really well-known search team, and they ended up finding him. And the way they found him, but the community, the parents were so grateful for the police, the community. I mean, people that live in Nashville were down there searching the water with them. They had dive teams come in. So they were very thankful. But in the beginning, Riley's mom, the police and the reporters were asking about the fraternity brothers. And she said, they're just as shook up. Imagine yourself coming down here to have a good time. Your fraternity brothers goes missing. She's like, "I love those boys just like my own."
Yeah.
They're all very close. Riley's supposed to graduate in May, in a month or so here. So it's just devastating. However, I think that narrative's turned a little bit because they get back to the hotel. The next night was their formal night, that Saturday night. And so none of the kids helped them search. They were here to party. The Delta Chi's went to their formal.
that night.
That night. So this all happened Friday night. They reported him missing Saturday morning, the 9th. The parents got here on the 9th. The kids all dressed up, went to the formal, came back to the hotel, and Riley's parents were in the lobby and whatever, and they're waving. They're like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like nothing had ever happened. I put, and I'm very proud to have been in a fraternity. Crazy stuff happens on college campuses, on the football team, the lacrosse team, whatever team, fraternity, whatever organization it happens. So I'm not pinning it on Delta Chi, but I would pin it on these individuals.
Sure.
If I'm down here and Steve would have went missing, or any one of our brothers, I'd be like, all right, I can not go to this dance or this bar fest. And I'm going to go, I'm nervous, I'm scared. And I'm sure they have a lot of shame and guilt because they were all there. And again, like big parties, there may have been 5 of them at Luke's, or were they all there? I don't know. Put yourself in that situation. I feel bad for them, but then I'm like, I probably would have been like, hey, I'm gonna stay sober on Saturday and help Mama Strain.
And not
out.
that everybody had to skip the formal, but I mean, aren't there a couple people in the group that were like, hey, I think it just from an optic standpoint, we should stick with the parents. Like 2 people stay back, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like I just can't imagine going and having a blast while your friend is, just has gone.
Well, and to that point, if there were guys here from other chapters that didn't know Riley,
Isn't that the point of a fraternity? Brotherhood.
Well, if you're from different chapters.
Yeah, but still, like, wouldn't you, if a fraternity brother from another college reached out and was like, hey, I'm a
Sigma Chi.
If I'm a Sigma Chi and I'm in town and I don't have anywhere to stay, I mean, you're not putting them up, but you have a certain.
We do have a network, yeah.
Yeah,
but you're here for a formal. You come from University of Massachusetts, or even the same one, and I think it should have been canceled. I think that formal. I just wouldn't have been in the mind space of going to a party that night.
Yeah.
And maybe they had a good reason for having that formal still. They rented the space. It was paid for. I don't know.
Maybe not cancel it, but a couple people should bow out and stick with the family. But then this is something you found you were telling me about was the at the memorial service. Yeah. So the fraternity hosts a memorial service in Missouri.
At Mizzou.
At Mizzou.
That's their university.
And invited Riley's parents 3 hours before the event, and the amount of time it takes for the Riley's parents to drive there is 3 hours.
3 hours. So they all went. They were all like bussed in to the funeral.
Yeah.
So they were all there. However, this happened after, and when someone passes away in a fraternity, every fraternity has a white rose ceremony or whatever type of thing to honor that person. And yeah, they invited them right before the event.
Do you think it was like they didn't think to invite them?
I think it's a bunch of college kids are like, oh shit, we forgot.
Yeah, did you invite Riley's parents?
I could totally have been that person, but like, because they're not organized. But
yeah,
I think something like this that catches international news. Where is your chapter advisor?
That's my question.
Where's your Delta Chi headquarters?
Who's the president of that one?
I mean, they have lawyers. They have to have lawyers.
Yeah.
And you organize that. Don't leave that up to college kids to organize, because it won't get organized.
Yeah.
But they haven't reached out to his parents once, according to Riley's mother and stepfather. And it's like, is there shame? Is there guilt? Do they know something at the bar? So now all these theories or these conspiracies are kind of turned into theories of, okay, once this toxicology comes back, the autopsies come back fine, but now they're still waiting on the toxicology, and he was in the river for 2 weeks. So does that affect toxicology reports? Being your body's waterlogged, will that dilute what was in your blood? I don't know. I'm kind of asking.
And I was looking today that a lot of the fraternity brothers that were here have, quote, lawyered up to get ready for, I guess, a potential lawsuit. I don't know what the charges would be other than some sort of neglect, but I'm not a lawyer. So
might be a civil lawsuit.
Oh yeah, maybe so. But
because if I'm here, I mean, I guess we're in America. The first thing you do is get a lawyer, but I think I would still go to his mom, whether I knew her or not, because there are some fraternity brothers. Steve's parents, I know them well. Kelsey, like all of them, I love their parents and adore them. I would be there with them.
Absolutely.
Now, there's other fraternity brothers. I had never met their parents, but I would probably be there and go to the police station, go to that press conference, just being present, building that community with them, whether you know her or not, or his dad or stepdad or not. They were all like, his parents are divorced. They were all there together. The dad and the stepmom, the mom and the stepdad, they were side by side that entire time. So I think those brothers should have,
I agree.
should have been there. Now they're, if I'm that parent, I'm like, why aren't y'all talking? You have a lawyer, but you won't say anything.
I think, here's my theory on what happened after discussing all this. I don't think he got roofied. I think he was really drunk, young kid. They've been to 5 bars total or 4 bars. And it's very drink focused when you're out, right?
Mhm.
It's who's getting the next drink, who's getting the next drink, right? Go. They're having a fun time. It's a Nashville weekend. It's fun. He got really drunk. I think he passed out. Maybe he sat down, who knows? But I think he passed out. I think he was robbed by a homeless person. They took his pants and boots off. They probably took that for, this clothing to wear, took his wallet, and then threw him in the river.
How did he die though?
Yeah,
There's no water in the lungs.
Yeah.
Suffocate him, like, because there's no trauma. And I think if you fall down a cliff, you're gonna have gashes somewhere at your body.
Yeah.
Or here's my theory. You're in water for 2 weeks, something's eating at you. Did they eat at the scars? And you can't tell what that scar is 2 weeks later. Was it fallen? Was it was the flesh? It's kind of weird to say, but I'm thinking of like where he went missing, and I'm like, it's weird. He was just dumped in the river right there, because the only way to get downstream from right there is to get in the river right there.
I don't know. It's a strange situation.
It's so sad because, can you imagine being a parent or even being a sibling and getting a call like at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. the next day saying, hey, we haven't seen him since 9 o'clock the last night. So that's a 14-hour, I think they had a 14-hour window from when he went missing. And again, like you said, when we're in a town, we know, okay, you go home or whatever. You don't think about it right away. And when you're in Nashville, the drinks aren't big. They're really strong, but you get a drink, you go dance, you're in line again to get another drink. Right. And even though he only had 3 or 4 swipes on his card, how many rounds did other people buy? Yeah. But when he was walking and that video from the cop, he seemed okay. A little tipsy, but he wasn't the type of candidate that the cops would put in one of those drunk tanks. Right. He just didn't appear that way. So to answer the emails that I got, a bar can't call an Uber for 30,000 people.
Right.
On my way over here, literally on the way to the studio today, there was a girl hanging off the side of one of those tractor pole things. And
they were like a party bus.
The party barges. Yeah. It was being pulled by a tractor and she was hanging over, and I'm like, she's going to fall. And people have fallen off those before. And they're just here to have a good time. Yeah. But I'm just sitting here. I'm like, it's crazy. We're talking about this today, and I can't pass that bridge without thinking of Riley. Yeah. And it's just the bright future he would have had, and just a good looking kid. He was here having a great time. And it's just a sad situation. No matter what happened, I don't think they'll ever find out. They did find the last homeless person that was in contact with him. So that's kind of where we are now in April, a month and a half after this happened.
I think it's important to say too, as we wrap this up, that I think perhaps this is an active investigation still. So there's probably some stuff that the cops know that they can't release.
True.
So it's like there may be some kind of, conclusion once everything's finished, and you're like, oh, well, I wish I'd have known that, a month ago when we were trying to figure this out. There's a Facebook group for Riley Strain that's got 71,000 people. And I was looking through it today, the amount of at-home detectives, just like people going, taking pictures of under the bridge and finding a rock, and this rock looks like it has blood on it. And, all that. I'm like, the detectives I'm sure they've done their due diligence. So,
well, and they're looking at every bar footage, and they're going to zoom in. Did somebody put, now they're looking, did somebody put something in a drink? Yeah. Now, you're right. It's like a puzzle. To be a detective, it's like, it'll take years,
Well,
Mm.
I hate that it happened, and we send out our condolences to Riley Strain's family, and hope they can get some answers and get some
Absolutely.
closure. All
And
that.
stay in groups. Be careful when
Absolutely.
you're out. I mean,
you know what? I think it's
whew.
important when you go, especially when you travel. If you're listening and you don't do this, it's important to have that conversation while we're out. No one leaves. We all leave in a group. And when we went to Mexico, that was a big thing for me. Like we all leave together
Mhm.
because takes one moment for something to happen, and then there's no record. Like you're in either a foreign place or
They'll
a
never
place
find
you've
you.
never been.
Yep.
So have those conversations. Talk about not leaving. Put your tracker on your phone. Like if you're traveling, just prepare yourself for the what ifs because it can happen.
Amen to that.
Well, all right, babe.
Woo.
Now that we've had a downer, let's go have a good rest of our weekend.
Yes, let's have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, babe. Love you.
Love you, Phil. Talk to you
Bye.
later. Thanks for listening to another episode of Two Bottles Deep. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have a crazy show idea, email us at twobottlesdeep@gmail.com or hit us up on the old Instagram.
And we really do appreciate you listening to today's show. And when you get the chance, go back and listen to our other episodes, because Lord knows you have nothing better to do. Got him.